I'm a businesswoman, not a baby woman.
Taxi! You have a boardroom full of executives waiting to hear a pitch. Take a left up here. Hey, you're gonna miss it!
Gabe, there's a woman I want you to watch, and I think she may need a little help.
Help is on the way.
I gotta go to work.
You just had a baby 12 hours ago, okay? You can't just leave us.
I'm so sorry, I'll be really quick.
I'm an angel.
Excuse me?
There's some divine intervention happening right now.
Are you ready?
You're awake. Why are we not in New York?
We're in Southport, living with your dad. You're gonna sleep for a long time.
I have been out of my daughter's life for 6 years. Why did this happen? Baby, don't you cry no more.
Antique cars. What happened to Dad's boating business?
He had to close it down a few years ago. This is probably the happiest day of her life.
Welcome home, Mommy.
Hi. Door was open. Hi. I cannot tell you what a huge help he has been over the years.
We just get this one life.
So you're really an angel. Why me?
I'm an answer to your prayer.
Come with us, Mama.
She doesn't have time for a boat ride.
You know what? Mommy is coming, okay? Yay! These two girls need a shopping day, right? Right.
Not a bad start. You look amazing.
I'm glad you're home. Me too. So, Thompson said that you are coming in for a pitch.
It's Sam's birthday.
I can take an hour flight.
You just got back and you're already talking about leaving. Okay, we bye to Mommy.
Bye, Mommy.
Trust.
Trust what?
It's in God's hands. He's not going to let you down.
You cannot control how I feel. I didn't get to talk to you for 6 years.
Prayer isn't just something that you do, or at least not just one time. It's a way to be.
Let's get you in there this afternoon.
God can serve you a real-life miracle. What you choose to do with it from this time forward, that's up to you.
Hey, you guys. I'm Venus Monique from the hit crime drama Vindication. And you guys should definitely make sure you're catching Maurice Brown Show on Roku TV.
Yeah! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Maurice Brown Show. We have a very special guest on the show today, an actress, screenwriter, and producer. She and her husband, Durrell Nelson, own Beautiful Feet Productions, and the trailer you were just watching, Unlikely Angel, is one of those films, one in which you can see on PureFlix, and they make and promote family, celebrate redemption, and reflect a Christian worldview. She was also the lead actress in the Kendrick Brothers film LIFEMARK. Please, and she'll also be speaking at the International Christian Film Festival this year in Orlando, Florida, May 3rd through the 6th. Please welcome Rebecca Rogers Nelson. What's up, Rebecca? How are you?
Thank you. I like your intro. It's awesome. Thank you so much.
Well, it is an honor to have you on the show. And as I speak of the International Christian Film Festival, that's like literally right around the corner.
It is.
And I love that. Is like the Christian Oscars.
Yeah, it is.
It's the biggest Christian film festival in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And Marty Jean-Louis, he does a great job with that. And I just can't wait to get down there. I'm going to be swamped with a lot of exciting things to do. And I know you're going to be down there. But before I get into that, I want to talk about LifeMark real quick. Okay. The Kendrick Brothers film LifeMark. You played the wife of Kirk Cameron's character. And it was a #2 at the box office for the opening weekend. And you also played the lead role in the award-winning faith-based film Badge of Faith. Now, let me ask you this. What was it like working with Kirk Cameron and the Kendrick brothers?
Cliche, but it was a dream come true. And honestly, I couldn't even dare to dream that kind of dream because you feel like it's just so far off. I remember my husband and I were watching one of the Kendrick brothers movies, and I saw this gal come in, and she brought like a folder to somebody, and I'm like, I just want to be the person that brings the folder. I just want to be a walk-in person. That'd be so cool. But most of my stuff, I've been in the mainstream. So I really didn't know the avenue to do faith-based films. And by the grace of God, a friend of mine who lives in Atlanta said, Becky, have you heard about the Kendrick brothers doing a new film? And I said, no, tell me about it. And she read off of some of the breakdown characters. And she goes, I think that you'd really be right for Susan. And I'd be like, wow, okay. So I called my agent and I said, can you please submit me? And before I knew it, I had a call back and then a second call back. And then this surreal moment where you're, kind of on the screen with 8 people that you thought are amazing your whole life. There's Kirk Cameron, and Stephen Kendrick, and Alex Kendrick, and Bev Holloway. And it was an amazing experience to get the part, but then also to be on that set was, transformational on a couple of levels. First of all, Kirk Cameron is as delightful as he seems. He is as generous as he seems. He's such a team player. And as we're, rehearsing scenes and even right on set, he would say, so what do you think about this? What do you think about this? And then he would surprise me too. There was one moment in the hospital. I'm not sure if you've seen the movie, but if you have, there's a scene in the hospital where Susan finds out that her son has to have surgery, and she doesn't even know how to process it. It's just so emotional. And he says, can I try something? And I'm like, okay. And he whispers scripture in my ear during the scene, and I am so emotionally taken aback by it that I just start bawling. I mean, in my character, I'm just like bawling. And it's that kind of risk taking and kind of camaraderie and really comfort level that we had all the way through the shoot. I mean, you sign up for 7 weeks to be family with these people, and it felt like that from day one. It really did.
Wow, that's quite amazing. I did a film in 2016 with Jen Gottson called, and it was just an amazing experience when you talk about crying. The film was Love Different, and there was a scene where there was crying involved, and I'd never seen anything like it. I mean, I don't know how you guys do that stuff, cry on cue and so forth. It's just totally, I'm always in awe when I see an actor able to call up that emotion. Is pretty darn amazing. And then we were just watching the trailer, Unlikely Angel. Happened, you were telling me before we came on, the most watched film on PureFlix, correct?
Well, I would say it's in the top 10, and
Top
then I've
10.
heard I heard it was in the number 3 slot. So I don't want to be, bragging beyond, but I am really thankful that it has caught an audience, and it's been in the top 10 for quite some time, and the platform's been there for 10 years plus, and our little film's only been playing for 8 months. So we're very, very proud that that the audience has responded so beautifully, and we feel like it's in the pocket of the audience. And so we're feeling very blessed. Yes.
And I was going to ask you what would be coming up in the future for Beautiful Tree Productions, a studio that you and your husband own, and Unlikely Angel is one of those productions. I was going to ask you.
It's Beautiful Feet Productions. And I happen to have bare feet, so I can just show you Beautiful Feet. Not that my feet are beautiful. It's based on the scripture, how beautiful are the feet of him who brings good news. So it's Beautiful Feet Productions. And yes, we have been asked by the PureFlix family to write a sequel to Unlikely Angel, which I have completed and turned in, and the powers that be love the script, but we are waiting for the cherished green light, and as soon as that happens, we'll let you guys know for sure.
Oh, you're gonna get the green light. There's no doubt in my mind about that. I want to also bring up another film that you're going to be a part of. You're going to be actually, it's a series called Eleanor's Bench, where you play the lead role, starring a good friend of mine, Karen Abercrombie, tremendous actress, which is set to air on PureFlix this year. What can you tell us about this series?
Well, let me just say that Karen Abercrombie is the star of that series, not me. But I am blessed to play her best friend. So I'm in every episode, which is kind of awesome. It is a legal drama with a lot of heart and a lot of humor. And it's quintessential. Karen Abercrombie, she's spectacular in it. And it is kind of a mix between two worlds. She grew up in the inner city and then got an education and became an attorney, became a judge. That's why it's called Eleanor's Bench. She's Eleanor and she's a judge. And it's kind of a mix of her two worlds. She still has ties and loves her father who still lives in that community. And yet she's kind of in this new echelons now with the country club and, playing golf and all that stuff. And it's really a beautifully written story. Stefan Schultze wrote it. And every episode is just really well written, well crafted. And I'm so excited. I'm very hopeful that it'll pick up and have another season. But it's going to have 6 episodes in a limited series. And so we'll see what happens. But I think it's going to be really awesome.
I think it is too. Karen she is an amazing actress, and clearly with you being a part of this film, you've got quite a resume yourself. I think it's going to be a tremendous series. I can't wait to see it myself. I mentioned earlier that you're going to be at the International Christian Film Festival this year in Orlando, Florida. That's going to be May 3rd through the 6th, and you're going to be one of the speakers. What will be your topic of discussion this year, Rebecca?
My topic of discussion is the screenplay story. What's the big deal? And I think that I chose that because they said, you can speak on acting, you can speak on producing. And of course, in my talk, I'm sure I'll touch on those things. And in fact, if you want to bring your pictures and resumes, feel free, because we will be casting soon for Unlikely Angel 2. But I will say this, that I feel like as believers, we have to bring excellence. And this is not to step on toes, but sometimes I feel like we say because we love Jesus that's enough, and it's not. We have to follow the rules that are set out by the industry, and quite frankly, it's the rules set out by Jesus himself, beginning, middle, and end to a story. And I go into a little bit of that as well for my talk. But the main emphasis of my talk is, where does story come from? How do we know what story to tell and what story not to tell? And I think 15, 20 years ago, people would say, oh, you have to live a lifetime before you can write. Well, guess what? We all just lived through a pandemic. We all have lived through a lot. And not only that, but we have the world at our fingertips with our phones, and we're seeing a lot, and there's a lot of information. And I think even kids, college kids, have so much that they're feeling and so much that they can say. And I think that the Lord can really use our own personal experiences. And that's not permission to write your own story, because that would be boring. But take pieces of our story, take pieces of what we've experienced, and use that, pray over that, and say, Lord, what part of this painful experience in many ways, can you redeem and utilize and make humor of, and then express in a way that encourages others, So that's my hope, is to really raise the bar for excellence, and also to reach down to where story really comes from and how we can kind of investigate and tease that out.
I love it. And you kind of partly answered a question I was going to ask you about, what would you like to see improved about Christian filmmaking? And I definitely think that's one of the things. It's not just enough to love the Lord. That's great. That's the most important. You got to love the Lord. But you also have to be someone committed to excellence in how you present film. And I think that's one of the things that I think is greatly improving. But there's still work to do in that. Clearly, the Kendrick brothers are doing that, and the Irwin brothers are doing that. people like yourself and Karen Abercrombie, who also has, you have a studio, Karen has a studio, and they're just a lot of positive things coming up. But I do want to ask you, what do you think the current state of Christian filmmaking is in our industry today?
Well, I was going to bring up the Kendrick brothers because one thing on that set, I called my husband like after day one, and I'm like, we got to do all these things that they're doing because it's amazing. I mean, they have a boot camp at the very beginning where they're introducing everybody on the set, whether it be actors or people doing craft services, and it's amazing. Just a celebration of what's going to happen for the next 7 weeks. But they also do something where they have each actor assigned to a prayer warrior. And we did this for Unlikely Angel because we shot our movie maybe 3-4 months after I came home from shooting the Kendrick Brothers movie, LIFEMARK. And I just adapted so many of their things. Like they have a prayer warrior for every actor, and they have what's called the Blow Pop Award. So every morning we do a devotional. That's something else. I mean, we were doing devotionals anyway, but just spend time over breakfast having a devotional. And then at the very end of that, we give a Blow Pop Award, and that was adapted from them. And that's some cast member, not really cast member, usually more of a tech person or a crew member that has just gone over and beyond. Great attitude. They've done their job, yes, but they've done something extra. And that person would get a blow pop, like a 25-cent blow pop. But the encouragement and the camaraderie around that and the acknowledgement that you're going above and beyond, that is so important, I think, on our sets, that we come together for each other and acknowledge that. No matter if you're, the Kirk Cameron on the project, or if you are craft services, or whatever, it just is important to acknowledge when people are contributing above and beyond what they're asked to do.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I'm really excited to hear you say the thing you said about Christian filmmaking, because I think a lot of people are a little bit hesitant to just say what it is. I mean, I think we're going in the right direction, but we just have to be honest about what we need to improve and address them. I think it's easy to fix. There are not a ton of issues, but I just think that, if you go way back 20 years ago, when I think Christian film started popping up, it was hard to watch. It was just like, oh my gosh, you felt so bad for the producers. I mean, they meant well, but it wasn't good at the beginning. It's gotten so much better.
Yes, and that's really your original question, and I'm sorry if I kind of veered off a bit, but absolutely, I do think we've come a long way, and we are seeing really wonderful stories and wonderful improvements, and definitely in the areas of acting, in the areas of cinematography, in the areas of set design. I mean, the bar is being raised.
Yes.
And I have to say, I feel like story is an area where we're still a little bit, okay, wait a minute, let's see. I think we have to really look at mainstream story writing and watching films that are mainstream, that are successful, and going, okay, what are the plot points? Do you have an inciting incident on page 12, which is 12 to 15 minutes into your story? We have to abide by what is expected by the viewer. And I'm not talking about faith versus not faith. I'm talking about what's wired in our brains for story. It's just important to follow those basic steps and those basic rules. And then from that, be authentic. Tell stories that really are going to address your particular audience. And as faith stories, are you writing, and this is a very serious question, are you writing to the choir? And that's fine. The Kendrick brothers always say, well, we're preaching to the choir. That's great. That's a lot of what I like to do in my stories. Is there are so many areas to strengthen family, to strengthen couples. I've got Anchor's Couples Retreat, which is kind of like family camp, but more for couples. And it's funny, but there's a lot of precepts about being a good married couple, what it means, how we're able to work together as a couple. So the idea of being Christians and speaking to Christians, that is a faith-based film. but there's also evangelical films. And that's knowing your audience is not necessarily a believer, but we want to just pull them in and have them ask questions about, do you believe in a higher power? If you do believe in a higher power, what does he think about you? You know what I'm saying? But who is your audience? And sometimes I think as Christian screenwriters, we try to blend those, and sometimes it doesn't work. So I think knowing your audience is super important, and knowing how you're going to be launching those different types of stories is also really important for your success.
Absolutely, 100%. And by the way, we are talking, ladies and gentlemen, with Rebecca Rogers Nelson, who is in the film LIFEMARK by the Kendrick Brothers, which stars Kirk Cameron. And she's also got a film out from a studio that she and her husband own called Beautiful Feet Productions. And the film's called Unlikely Angel, which you can see on PureFlix. Before we get out of here, Rebecca, I want to ask you, what kind of advice can you leave with young people that are out there that are seriously considering pursuing a career in entertainment, particularly in the faith-based world?
That's a great question. And I would say pray, and really make sure your motives are pure.
Yes.
And then don't expect things to happen right away. God's timing is not our timing. And sometimes a no is something to really be appreciative of. For instance, right before I got LifeMark, I was pinned, which means you basically have booked a recurring role on a series called Dope Sick with Michael Keaton. I was really excited. This is like awesome. And then at the last minute, I find that I did not get the part, that they went another direction, which is, it happens.
Yes.
I was really kind of bummed. But if I had not been turned down for that role, I would have never been available for LifeMark. And that movie was much more my heart. I have 4 of my 5 children are adopted. This is my lifeblood. This is what I want to have a platform about, is making people aware of children that are adopted through foster care. So, I mean, God has a way of allowing you to feel the devastation of, oh, that was almost, to then being elated with something else, right?
That's right.
I think we have to just really trust that God's timing is not our timing, and we have to continue to believe that He has a path and an avenue. Also, you do not have to go to LA or New York. But you know, when I was coming up in the industry, I lived in both New York and LA, and you kind of had to be there. It is not that way anymore. We shot an Unlikely Angel in Virginia. I was able to make dinner for my kids, so to speak. Sometimes it was craft services, but whatever. And sleep in my own bed. And we are very blessed to have a talented team that surrounds us where we live. But I would also say that there are film industries, film offices in almost every state. So call your state film office and find out what's happening in your area. Do anything that you can in your area. Build up your resume where you are before you move to Atlanta or anywhere else. And then once you do move to New York, Atlanta, if you do, don't expect for it to happen in 5 minutes. Have money saved, be ready. But honestly, in most cases, because everything is video now, everything is auditions through your phone or through your camera, you really can live where you live and then be ready to drive for a callback, let's say. So that's I could go on, but that's my quick advice.
And I think it's great advice. A lot of people think they have to move to Hollywood or they have to move to this great big city of theatrics or entertainment, whatever. And that's not what it's all about. So great advice. I love that. Young people need to really ingest that and understand it's about working on your craft and being better. We're talking with Rebecca Rogers Nelson on the Maurice Brown Show. If you're coming in late and you're like, doggone it, I missed it. Not really. Because tomorrow, about midday, you can watch the entire interview on Roku TV, on the Creative Motion Network, and on Spotify. where all major podcasts are heard. Amazon Music, Audible, you name it, we're there. You can listen to the whole thing. So don't worry, it's all good. And also, Rebecca will be speaking this year at the International Christian Film Festival in Orlando, Florida, May 3rd through the 6th. Rebecca, thank you so much for being on the show. It has been quite an honor. I've enjoyed the heck out of talking to you, and I may see you. I'm sure I'll see you down in Orlando.
You will. You will. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for having me.
Hey, anytime. May the peace of Christ be with you or your family. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you.